Hi, this is Jen Miller, and this is my presentation on collection policies in the library. A collection policy establishes procedures to follow and documents the rationale for such procedures. Procedures describe how a process will take place and who will be responsible for implementing the steps in the process. So, why should a library have a collection policy? I have three reasons. Number one, it can help you develop a diverse and purposeful collection. A policy can make sure that you do a little planning before you add to your collection, and this can help avoid overlap, waste, as well as make sure that your materials align with changing instructional needs. A policy can also help support you during challenges. When collections are created using a written policy, a librarian will use this policy as the backbone for responding to a challenge or an objection. Policies are usually created with an entire invested group, not just the librarian alone. Therefore, the responsibility doesn't fall on her alone when dealing with a challenge or an objection. She'll use the policy written by the group to respond. And third, a policy sets standards for the library even if the librarian isn't the one making the decisions alone or is for some reason not even in the library. So, a diverse and purposeful collection. I read the article by Kyle about choosing good books or choosing quality books versus books with appeal. And they mentioned specifically the TV character books that draw kids in so much. And Kyle debated whether it was more important to add these appealing books or quality books. But then they also state or also discover that good books are just simply books that kids like. So while originally the quality book that Kyle described had evocative narration or well developed themes, effective plots, and effective read aloud qualities, they discovered that honestly, any book that the student loves is a good book. A collection policy can help guide a librarian in what to add and pay attention to quality or appeal, gaps in topics, instructional needs, and truly just what their students like. A great policy is going to support you during challenges. I read an article about librarians adding graphic novels to the library and then eventually self-censoring the graphic novels because, as most librarians described, they lived in a very conservative area, and so they found themselves sticking books away on separate shelves or in restricted areas or even hiding books because they knew that the community would eventually challenge these books, and they were trying to avoid the conflict of this. And so the article interviewed several librarians, and most of them admitted to doing this self censorship. Um, and it was mostly because they were trying to avoid um, those um, perceived conflicts that would come. So, in writing a collection policy, you might even be able to avoid challenges and or be able to rely on your collection policy when challenges arise, because great collection policies are written with the community and the community in mind. Things you add to your collection will be following the policy and might be less likely to be challenged. And then finally, a policy sets standards for the library when the librarian isn't there, when she's working with volunteers or aides, or if the librarian even leaves the position. There's the collection policy can be referred to and relied on to offer guidance. So, some key points from the readings and the collection policy is to be thoughtful when choosing materials, consider your own biases and possible self censorship. Knowing that a good collection policy can be the backbone of your program, and using your community, I'm sorry. And then these are the articles and references that I used in my presentation. Thank you so much.